One of the questions that people ask me the most is, how did you end up in Torino, Italy? It definitely wasn't intentional, and it was kind of a bit of a path to get there. So the last place I lived in the U.S. was in Portland, Oregon, and at a certain point I was ready to move away from there. But the thing is, I didn't necessarily have a place that I wanted to go to. I had lived in Los Angeles and San Francisco and Oakland and spent lots of time in New York. But I had essentially hit a cultural ceiling when it came to living in the U.S. And I had done a fair amount of traveling, and there were definitely places of interest. But at that time, there wasn't a particular city or country that was really like calling out to me and like saying like, come here, which was sort of like, oh, okay. So the one thing that I did know that I was sure about was just that I didn't want to live in the U.S. And so that was my impetus. And of course, along with that, it was figuring out how to support myself financially. And so while I was researching things, I came across teaching English in Korea, which was a great idea. It was at the time I had never been to Korea, and even though that's where my family is from, and this was like, okay, great opportunity. If I can make a bunch of money, and I can learn the language, and I can get in touch with the motherland, and so I started the process to apply. And while I was doing that, I started to try to look into places that maybe had a shorter contract, because the Korea one was for 1 year, and I was just sort of curious, and also what else was out there. And I come across this one for teaching English in the Republic of Georgia, which is in the part of the ex-Soviet Union. And um, and honestly, I hadn't even heard of Georgia until like about 2 years prior, and I saw it in like I think a headline, something about Georgia in this country, and I just vaguely thought, oh, interesting. There's a country named out there named Georgia, and because the only one I, I knew at the time, which I think most people's, is the one in the U.S. So so that was a 3-month contract, and I decided, okay, like I wasn't going to make any money, but I kind of wouldn't have to spend any money. It was like kind of breaking even, because they were going to pay for like the airplane ticket and give me with a host family, and also give me a stipend, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Georgia, and then after that I will go to Korea. And so I'm doing that. I'm in Georgia, and while I'm there, I'm learning Georgian. It's a little bit necessary, but also I wanted to, because I always like to learn languages. And I remember, you know, very clearly, like studying, like Georgian and learning things, and kind of this idea that you're learning this really obscure language, and it's cool because it's like, oh, it's this really obscure language, blah 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 blah. And then on the other hand, like, oh yeah, this is a really obscure language. It's not, you can't really use it outside of Georgia so much. And I had studied some French in high school, and I had studied a bit of Italian after university, and knew some words and phrases in Korean, but I had always wanted to become more fluent in a language, in any language, just past that initial five sentence conversation, the hi, how are you, where are you from? And anyway, so I'm studying this sort of, yeah, learning another language, and only gonna learn so much, and just boom, all of a sudden in my brain it was like, Italian, you're going to Italy, you're going to Italy next, and you're gonna study Italian. And it was sort of like, ah, yeah, it made sense. And just in that moment, I just sort of switched trajectories and was like, okay, after Georgia, I'm going to go to Italy, and then I will go to Korea after that.